Hello, 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 hello. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. It is 1 hour before midnight in Bangkok, and I am excited about the coming year. I'm wearing the Daily Live t shirt at elonbits.com, by the way. But you can get this at elonbits.com, all kinds of merch at elonbits.com. But I wanted to talk about what's coming for 2024. I'm not going to rehash what's happened in 2023. And if you're in the chat, by the way, if you're watching and you're in the chat, please let me know. First time I've done this from this location. I'm in a different. I keep moving around Bangkok. I don't know how the quality of the. I think YouTube is telling me everything's good, but if you're having any trouble hearing me or anything like that, please let me know in the chat. Of course, if you can't hear me, you can't hear me asking you to tell me. But I wanted to talk about the future, what's coming in 2024, and really what's going beyond for Tesla, SpaceX, X, Twitter, for Neuralink and the Boring Company. Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for saying hello. So, obviously, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is Tesla, but I will cover SpaceX, X, aka Twitter. I will probably also talk about XAI, and I think generally what's happening with artificial intelligence. I may talk about some other topics, and please in the chat let me know. I can't make the. Can I make the sound higher? I think I can make the sound higher. Let me see if I can make the sound higher. You can hear me? Oh, that's terrible. I was trying to fix something and I messed it up. Let me see if I can do this a different way. Uh, that's not what I wanted. Can I fix this? Filters. I'm going to try to make the sound louder. Let's see. Output gain. How's that? Is that better? Does that sound any better? I don't know. Okay. Anyway, so talk about Tesla, talk about SpaceX, talk about X, XAI, whatever. If there's something, I'm gonna go through some things, but if you see something that you want me to talk about, please let me know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm an idiot. I shouldn't try to respond to that when I'm live streaming. I hit the stop streaming button. So, let's talk about Tesla. What's coming for 2024? The most obvious thing is we're going to see a growth in Cybertruck. We're going to see some growth, I think, in Model Y. We'll see some growth in Model 3. We will see, I think Model S and X will not do anything special. And so then the question is really the big thing that I'm looking for on the vehicle side is some information about the next generation vehicle. There's a variety of things we want to learn. We want to learn about the vehicle itself. What is the vehicle? Is it a two-seater? Is it a four-seater? Is it a five-seater? Are there multiple versions of the vehicle? Is there a robotaxi vehicle without steering wheel and pedals? Is there a sedan? Is there an SUV? Is there a minivan? Is there a cargo van? What different variants of this next generation vehicle are we going to see? And then when? When are we going to see it? When are they going to start manufacturing it? When are they going to start delivering it? So, my takeaway when I look at everything I've looked at, Happy New Year, PYG, everything I've looked at, and I tend to be overly optimistic. If you follow my channel, you know I tend to be overly optimistic. They sandbagged Model Y, and I think they're doing it again with the next gen vehicle. I think they don't want to tell us that the next gen vehicle is coming soon because they're concerned that it'll cut into sales of existing Model 3 and Model Y. That's a guess. That if they actually deliver what we think is going to happen, 25 sub or sub $25,000 vehicle, if it's compelling in some ways, maybe it cuts into sales of Model 3 or Model Y. And if you think it's coming and it's not ready yet, then it might cut in. Once they actually start delivering it in some volume, the fact that you can't get it, maybe that pushes people to buy Model 3 or Model Y. I think ideally the target for that market is below people who are buying Model 3s and Ys, and it doesn't cut into sales much. But if you hint at it and it's not ready to be delivered quickly, then some people might hold off on buying a Tesla at all. That's the Osborne effect theory that some people operate on. Oh, Matt Burns says, are you expecting 1.8 for the year? So yeah, I'm expecting about 1.8 million for 2023. Maybe they'll beat it by a little bit. I don't know. I'm not really worried about what happened. Like, I think 2023 is over essentially. And I'm less worried about rehashing the past and more excited about the future. And so, is it going to be 1.78 million? Is it going to be 1.82 million? I don't care. I'm much more excited about the future. No, I started shaving my head long before Bangkok. I started my shaving head long before Bangkok. Don't be ridiculous. So, um, when you're looking at the future, what matters? It's not what happened in 2023 that matters. It's what's going to happen in 2025, 2026, 2027, and 2024 is going to give us a bigger window into what's coming in the future. Now, what do we think? What seems most obvious about what's coming with the next generation vehicle? And I'll get to. I think FSD may be a bigger piece of this than I'm going to cover that, but um, it's pretty obvious. They've told us it's going to be more than one version of the vehicle. Walter Isaacson said there'd be a robotaxi version and a non-robotaxi version. Is there more than one non-robotaxi version? Hi, B. Um, is there, multiple versions, right? How many versions are there? Where are they going to build it? I think we have pretty good information on the where right now so far of some of the locations. It's very obvious they're going to be producing in Texas. I think they've even told us that directly. It's obvious that they're going to at some point produce it in Mexico. They've told us that directly. They filed permits for Berlin to make 500,000 vehicles of an unknown vehicle. It's pretty obvious that's the next generation vehicle. And it's pretty obvious they'll build it in Shanghai. So that's 4 factories. And, Shanghai's probably going to do 1 million a year easy. Texas, Mexico's probably going to do 1 million a year. I mean, I'm talking early on, like within, 12, 18 months, 24 months, they're going to be producing, potentially 4 to 6 million vehicles a year. Well, 4 million vehicles a year of just the next gen vehicle from those 4 locations. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And I think, we're talking like in 2026, depending on when they start the next gen vehicle, what are the prospects in 2026 for doing, say, 4 million plus of those vehicles on top of 2.5 million of the existing fleet that we know about? Well, that'd be 6.5 million vehicles a year. That's not bad for 2026, right? That's getting us close to the 10 million and getting us well on our way to 20 million. So that's a pretty good start. There's been some rumors lately about Thailand, where I am, and there's been some rumors lately about India, particularly I think the state of Gujarat. I don't buy the India rumor. One of the rumors I heard was that Tesla would partner with Tata Motors, which is a prominent manufacturer in India. I don't see Tesla agreeing to do a joint venture factory anywhere. They made a deal with China and they got a wholly owned factory. If they let India force them into a joint venture, then that would be a slap in the face to China, which let them do a wholly owned factory. So I don't think Tesla can agree to that. I think Tesla has to maintain, no, every factory has to be wholly owned by us. I think that's how it has to be. So Thailand makes a lot of sense to me. Being here in Thailand now, Thailand makes total sense to me, seeing everything I'm seeing. EVs are growing here. I'm seeing BYDs on the road. I'm seeing other EVs on the road. There is a market for it. I've talked to people who said EVs, this is a great place for EVs. I think there's a lot of potential for electric vehicles and for the next gen vehicle in particular. It's the right price point for this market. I also think this is a great place for a slightly smaller version of Cybertruck. So to see a Thai factory making, and so I'm sorry, people might not know this. Thailand is the second largest pickup truck market in the world after the United States, larger than Canada, larger than Australia. About 800,000 pickup trucks a year. They're quarter ton pickups, not half ton pickups. So the half ton pickups are common. The F-150 is a half ton. The Ranger's a quarter ton. So even in Australia, apparently the quarter tons are more common than the half tons. So why not Vietnam? I don't have an opinion about Vietnam, so I can't answer that. There's been rumors about Thailand. There's been rumors about India. So just in terms of Cybertruck, the potential for Cybertruck here in Thailand is just insane. I think a Wolverine, what Elon called a Wolverine version of Cybertruck, that's more in the quarter ton size range, would just clobber. The market here, you could easily see them selling 200,000 units a year in Thailand. And sorry, you got Thailand, you got Malaysia next door, you've got Indonesia, you've got Vietnam. Pickup trucks are actually pretty big in Southeast Asia. They're not big in Japan. I don't know how big they are in China, but they are big in Southeast Asia. I see them all the time here. They're very, very popular. They're very useful vehicles. They use them as pickup trucks here. And so a Wolverine version of Cybertruck And the stainless steel, not getting dings and all that stuff, that would be a big deal. The Gormless Twit, I left Japan in late November, stopped in Singapore, Malaysia, and India, and I've been in Bangkok since something like December 2nd, and I'm going to be here till the end of January. And moving on, trying a couple other places, may go back to Japan. Um, so when you're looking at locations for factories, and Darren Jung, if you don't follow him, there's a YouTuber named Darren Jung who's based in Singapore. He's basically the Southeast Asia Tesla YouTuber. And he primarily Singapore, but he covers Southeast Asia and beyond. And Darren said that Southeast Asia is a larger car market than India, and it's a larger car market than Japan. So Thailand producing here, selling to Malaysia, selling to Indonesia, which Indonesia is a very large country. I'm not sure how big Malaysia is. Indonesia is a very large country, like 300 million people. It's like basically the size of Brazil, a population close to the United States. Vietnam's another big country. If a Thailand factory could service a lot of these markets. Is there a role for an India factory too? Sure. I don't think the India car market's that big. I think the India's poor. It's just poor. It just is. I should mention the Philippines. Philippines is kind of poor also, but like the Manila area is not. So I haven't been to the Philippines yet, so I don't know how much they're using pickup trucks. But I've heard about Indonesia, Malaysia, and I see it here in Thailand. I saw it in Malaysia, and I haven't just heard about it in Malaysia. I saw it in Malaysia. So I think that's a lot of potential to see Giga Thailand. And then there's another key detail. Okay. When Elon and Tesla announced Giga Texas, Giga Austin, and Giga Berlin, one of the things that they said was they chose cities that people wanted to be in. That Berlin is a popular, that engineers who are working in the factories would want to live because there's stuff to do. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm not just saying this because I'm here and because I'm seeing it on the ground. I'm saying this because I've studied this issue. There's a website called Nomad List, and there's other people this is a very popular place for people to be. Bangkok is lit. Okay, this place is. I'm not sure I love it here. There's things I like. There's things I don't like, but this area is hot. Mumbai area in India has poor. It is a high net worth. I don't think anywhere in India has a high net worth. I mean, there's populations in the big cities that have money, but the on average, it's just a very, very poor country, and the market for vehicles over $20,000 is extremely small. So I'm sorry, that actually brings me to a point. I have been saying for a while that I think the next gen vehicle might stretch down to $20,000 or less. There was a video in the last couple of days of a guy going for a drive with a Cybertruck, and the Cybertruck is owned apparently by a Tesla employee who works in Giga Austin, who said that he thinks the next gen vehicle, which had a name something like Project Redfield or Project Redwood or something like that, that the next gen vehicle's target price is 25 to 29,000. I think 29,000 is not a significant drop from Model 3, so I don't think that makes any sense. But I'm often critical of what other people say about things when I don't think they fit what I think. This guy's got some credibility. So, hi, Dewiz. Tesla has offices in lots of places, but a factory is a whole different thing. You need a lot of land, you need to build stuff, and you need government to get out of your way when you're building it. And I don't think the Indian government has a reputation for getting out of the way. And I will say this, that I'm going to say a quick criticism. I don't know enough about Thailand or India to, this isn't like I know they're doing it wrong. It's just sort of a perception of like, hey, this is something you guys should work on. Air quality in India, where I was, the air quality was fine. But in general, the air quality in India is terrible. And the air quality in Southeast Asia generally is not great. And it's particularly not great in Bangkok on a lot of days. And I'm not a mask guy. I didn't wear a mask for COVID, but I wear a mask when I check the air quality index every day before I leave this condo that I'm in or whatever condo I'm in. And I wear a mask if the air quality is bad. And the air quality's been bad lately. Now, some of that is agricultural burns. But when you're in a city, 18 million people, and there's a lot of people driving around in gasoline-powered vehicles, it doesn't help the air pollution situation. So bots are a different question. I'm not getting a bot in India. I'm not talking about that at all. So it should be a driving factor in the mindset of every major politician and every major country leader, whether they're a politician or corporate or whatever, um, to get EVs as fast as possible because you want clean air for yourself. Forget about your constituents, for yourself, for your children, for your grandchildren. For you want your children and grandchildren to breathe clean air. Islands and other cities in Thailand have better air quality. The air quality in Thailand is bad pretty much most of the country from Bangkok and north, and not and reasonably close to Bangkok as well. You have to go far south Thailand. And I'm sure there's some islands, there's some coastal spots that have better air quality. So CM says, want to bet that Model Y will get an update like Highland. So there is a story that there's a Project Juniper high update for Model Y coming in China. Do I think it's likely that Model Y will have a refresh similar to Model 3? Yes. Do I think it's called Project Juniper? No. I don't think the Model 3 refresh is Highland. We've had this conversation before. It is a refresh, and I was wrong about calling there being a refresh, but I don't believe that's Highland. I think Highland and Juniper are the next generation of Model 3 and Model Y, coming after the next generation vehicle comes out. But yeah, Andrew Stahn says it's not really a segment drop if the cost is not dramatically less. I think you'd right, they would shoot for 20K or less, perhaps 20-ish and drop lower in the following years. So I think that they have to get to 25,000 or less for the next generation vehicle to move the needle. And, Drew Baglino said emphatically at one event that their target for the next generation vehicle was half the floor space, half the cost, twice the output. So if Model Y is doing, 1.5 million vehicles a year or close to it, then the next gen vehicle should be doing, and let's say 500,000 a year per factory, then the next gen vehicle should be doing 1 million a year per factory in smaller space and at lower cost. So I think that the 48-volt wiring will be updated. Yeah, so I just like a $29,000 next gen vehicle. Unless there's something amazing about this vehicle, that doesn't move the needle. And I don't expect it to be higher performance than Model 3. They've said it's going to be utilitarian. PYG says, I've heard that although India is buying oil from Russia, they are paying in rupees, which are not negotiable elsewhere. This may cause a short-term issue of money going begging in India. I think I traded in rupees for Thai baht when I came to Thailand. They are negotiable. Rupees are negotiable elsewhere. The Russian currency, I'm not sure about the ruble, but the rupees are negotiable. I don't have no opinion about Russian currency. I just know that I traded Indian currency in for Thai currency. So Indian currency is negotiable. So that's the next gen vehicle. Yeah. All right. A couple things I wanted to talk about with Tesla. Let's see. So this is Troy Tesla. He's a prominent account on X. He has become more. He's a guy who projects every quarter. This is what the output's going to be or whatever. Well, India's not on a sanctioned list. So Carlos James says, I'm thinking of withdrawing my Cybertruck deposit. It's just too expensive. Well, the deposit's only $100, right? The vehicle depends what you're buying, depends when you expect to get your delivery. If you expect to get your delivery, let's say if you've been offered the Foundation series, well, then just wait until you can get the non-Foundation series. If you or planning on getting a dual motor and you wanted it to be like $60,000, well, I don't think that's going to happen. But what else would you buy? You're going to get $7,500 tax credit. Cybertruck, yeah, Mitchell Walrich, exactly. Good morning, Mark Plott. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate you. The Cybertruck is a pathfinder for all of Tesla's future vehicles. They will all have steer-by-wire 48-volt, split 800-volt battery packs, etc. I'm not sure they're doing 800-volt on the next-gen vehicle. I don't think the next-gen vehicle needs 800-volt. I'm not sure it's going to be an advantage for that. I'm not saying they won't. I'm just not sure. I think it'll be all 48-volt. They've told us that. I think all future Teslas will be steer-by-wire. That seems clear. Victor Block says, any news about Tesla Semi as battery constraints keeping them from being produced? No, Tesla Semi is waiting for the Nevada gigafactory to be built out. So, Troy Tesla, prominent account, very good generally about short term. Here's what the numbers are going to be for this quarter. right? His short-term predictions about what the quarterly numbers are going to be. Here, he's going outside of the scope of what he's known for and making a long-term prediction for the year 2024 about deliveries. And he has basically said he doesn't think Tesla will that has the demand to sell more than 2.1 million vehicles. And if they sell 2.1, that will force them to lower prices in order to deliver a higher volume of vehicles, and that will lower earnings per share. That's what he's claiming. So I don't agree with Troy, but I wanted you to be aware that there's a prominent voice who has some degree of credibility saying he doesn't think Tesla will deliver much more, that the growth in 2024 will be substantially less. And Tesla has said that they expect that 2023 and 2024 are going to be subpar growth for Tesla, which Tesla normally shoots for 50%, delivery or production growth year on year. Well, cumulative average growth rate is the target. So they have said this is going to be a soft year, and 2024 might be a soft year. But when the next generation vehicle ramps, I think it's going to overshoot. So, but I think his numbers are still too small. So, um, and then I wanted to show this other thing. This is a post from Elon. This was 2 days ago. Next week, I will do a company talk for SpaceX, followed later by a company talk for Tesla after the 10K. So next week's the talk for SpaceX. That is soon. The 10K will be third week of January. So he's probably talking about the fourth week of January. Elon is going to talk about the company. So recap the accomplishments of 2023 and describe exciting plans for 2024 and beyond. So maybe late January, we're going to get an update on the next gen vehicle. Maybe. Okay. Tesla next generation vehicle is 400 volt, according to Mark Plot. I don't know. I haven't seen one way or the other. It just doesn't seem likely that they would go to 800 volt for the next gen vehicle. If Cybertruck all wheel at 49K with 400-mile range, 49K at 400-mile range, that's just not a reasonable expectation. You're going to get 7,500 bucks off, and the question is, what else are you going to buy? If you have something else you want to buy, then you have to compare, and don't forget you're saving a lot of money on energy, gas, and maintenance by getting a Cybertruck. And not to mention you're in the coolest vehicle in the world, and your safety is off the charts and all that. Yeah, Mark, I agree. Tesla is developing lower cost electric drive units that are longer lasting and slower and not needed. So yeah, I think in particular they use less or zero silicon carbide or something like that. They have some new electric drive units for the next gen vehicle that are going to be, I don't know about, yeah, they probably are longer lasting, but they're, it's not as high performance. The Wiz says, my Tesla Man t-shirt is starting to show its age. Any chance of a reprint? My hernia surgeon wants too. So what happened is the company that does my t-shirts, which is called Spring or Teespring, there was some trademark claiming that the Tesla Man t-shirt infringed a trademark, and I challenged it, and I never heard back. I don't like my provider. That's who makes this shirt as well. I don't like the provider. They have historically been slow on producing and delivering, and a variety of other issues. They're not very responsive to me when I make requests or whatever, and they never responded on that shirt. And that's like my daughter helped design that. It's not a trademark violation. It's fair use, whatever, but okay. So JPB says $7,500 tax credit is the lower of your tax liability or $7,500, not automatic 75. I'm not a tax. I don't know the tax implications. I'm not going to comment on it. Assuming that you can afford a Cybertruck, you're probably going to be paying more than $7,500 in taxes. That's my take on it. And by the way, I got a Cybertruck order. I was notified that I could get delivery I could configure my Foundation Series Cybertruck. I could choose, even though I ordered a dual motor, I was offered the option to choose dual motor or Cyber Beast tri-motor. And I decided not to order yet because I'm in Asia. I don't know where I'm going to be living. I haven't decided yet. Am I living in Thailand? Am I living in Japan? Am I living in the Philippines? Once I figure out where I'm going to live, then I can assess, can I bring the vehicle? So I think like the Philippines, maybe that's a place I could really easily bring the Cybertruck. Japan would be hard, but I don't think I would pay a tariff, and I think I could do it. I don't really need a car in Japan. There's some real reason why I would want it. Bangkok, I think the tariff is insanely, it's like 200% tariff or something crazy like that. The Teslas from Giga Shanghai apparently somehow don't pay the tariff. But if you brought a Tesla from America, you'd pay this ridiculously huge tariff. Starting January 1, 2024, EVs get federal tax credit. Yeah, you get the tax credit when you take delivery of the car rather than, the end of the year when you do your taxes. That's a big deal. Troy didn't say no Tesla growth in 2024. He said 2 million to 2.1 million deliveries in 2024. And let's remember, Tesla's growth is not limited to vehicles. You also have Megapack, Powerwall, solar, um, you know, FSD. There's a whole bunch of things going on. So let's talk about FSD for a second. It appears that version 12.1 of FSD is in the hands of some employees. So they are making progress in developing FSD. I didn't screenshot the post, but Elon said that currently version 12 is working extremely well in California, but there are some issues in other areas, and in particular, doesn't perform that well in bad weather. So they are continuing to test it to get it to the point where they feel ready to release it. Um, yeah, I mean, Carlos, I would just say hold your place in line for Cybertruck. Depends where you are in the line. If you think you're expecting your vehicle in 6 months, prices aren't going to change. If if you ordered like 6 months after the event, then you're probably not getting delivery till 2026. So you got time. Hold the order. Um, it's only $100 to hold it. Mark Anthony, is that you, Clevin? Says, happy 2024, Warren. Can you make videos about dating and relationships as well in the new year? I do have a video I want to make about, oh, I don't know if this is a YouTube video. There's a channel called Whatever. There's this guy named Myron, and he's one of these really annoying, overly confident guys who says whatever, talks, thinks he knows everything about women and men and all this crap. And he just says he said something there's this particular thing that these guys say about how men want a submissive wife. And I'm thinking about making a whole video about this, that I do not want a submissive wife. And they don't care whether a woman is competent. And I'm like, really? I'm just going to touch on this really quick because you picked my funny bone on this. I had food poisoning a few days ago. By the way, one of the things I don't like about Thailand, it seems like almost every foreigner has their my first food poisoning incident story. Never had a food poisoning problem in Japan. Just saying. Okay. I like places where you can drink the tap water. There's a whole lot of bottled water. Like, you get an Airbnb, they just give you like 3 of these 1.5 liter bottles of water included in the Airbnb because they just know you're not, they don't want you drinking the water. So I had food poisoning. I felt really sick. Now, I'm alone. It wasn't that bad. Threw up. I did have some toilet issues for a few days or whatever. But like, imagine, this idea that you want a quiet, submissive wife who just stays at home and or girlfriend or whatever, and never questions you and never. I don't want a woman who's going to argue with me. Blah 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 blah. Well, first of all, if you're such an alpha male, why are you afraid of a woman arguing with you? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And they're like, oh, traditional wives are submissive. Really? Have you ever talked to a Gen Xer about their mom? Did you ever watch Eddie Murphy talk about his mother? No, traditional wives are not submissive. Traditional wives fight. Like, Italian women are not known for being submissive. It's just so ridiculous. Yeah, no bar girl videos. So I'm kind of like motivated to say, like, when you're sick and they take you to the hospital and then the doctors tell your wife, it's not looking good. I think we're going to pull the plug. Do you want her to be submissive then? Do you care about her competence? Do you care about her understanding of medical issues then? You really want somebody who's like your partner in life? You have this critical moment. Your kids are having some kind of problem. Do you want your wife to fight for him, or you want your wife to be submissive and not particularly competent in that situation? I want a wife who's going to stand up for me and my kids. Mark Plot, yeah. Yeah, my mom wasn't submissive. My ass, like that. I don't believe that women should be submissive. And if you're an alpha male, these guys are all like, oh, I make bank and I like, I go to the gym and, the chicks dig me and blah, blah, blah. Look, if you're so fucking awesome, then you can deal with a woman who argues with you, right? And how many times have you seen a guy talk about how dumb his girlfriend is? Like, well, then stop dating dumb women. Date women who are intelligent. Sorry. All right, so off of that. This diversion was brought to you by Mark Anthony. Thank you, Mark Anthony. So I think that the 25,000, let's talk about the 25,000 the car a little bit more. the next generation vehicle, so I think it's gonna be the $20,000 car, at least in like China, and if they build a factory in Southeast Asia, I think we're gonna see sub $20,000 prices in China. Because if you don't know this, the Model 3 sells for less in China than it sells for in the US. Their cost of manufacturing it in China is less, and there's a variety of reasons why. And market competition in China is stiffer. So, if we are getting rate cuts, do you feel it will offset the slow growth rate in 2024 as far as Wall Street is concerned? I don't care about Wall Street, but yes, I think if the interest rates go down, then there'll be more demand. That's just natural reality. Um, so yeah, so I think that so I'm going to make the bold prediction. I think I may have already said this before, but my position, and I'm overly optimistic about this stuff. I think the next generation vehicle will be delivered in 20. The deliveries will start in 2024. We know that in the summer of 2023, if not earlier, they were working on the manufacturing line. Elon, it's in the biography, which I don't have. I think it's on my my Kindle app on my phone or whatever. There's a spot where Walter Isaacson talks about Elon like walking the. Now maybe they were walking the line in simulation, but my impression is that they were already laying out the line, the manufacturing line, the pilot line for the next gen vehicle in Texas 6 months ago. So, and Joe Tetmeyer, if you don't follow him, follow Joe Tetmeyer. He is the drone guy who drones Giga Texas all the time. He has seen equipment outside of Giga Texas that he thinks is for the next gen vehicle line. So I think they're making progress towards manufacturing. And they've said in the Q3 earnings call that it was going to be easier to ramp the next gen vehicle than to ramp the Cybertruck. They've said that. The call was partially cut off. It was hard to hear, but I heard that. Um, so, and thank you, Mark Plott. Please check the merch at elonbits.com. Please support me here as YouTube channel members. Please support me on the Locals platform, the Daily Lie, warrenredlich.locals.com. My best place to follow me is on the X platform, aka Twitter, WR4NYGov, and please consider subscribing to me there. That's the best place to support me and follow me and all that. That's the place I'm most active right now. Just so you know, I make more money on the X platform as a content creator than I make here on YouTube now. Partly because I'm just putting more time into it. But it's easier on just posting. It's not a great video platform yet. So, and I am political on the X platform. I'm not political here. So, are they doing any nanoscale manufacturing processes at gigafactories? I don't know the direct answer to that question, William, but I do know I was at the Plaid event, I don't know, 3 years ago or something like that. And I was in a conversation. This part of the conversation, I was just listening. I was in other parts of the conversation where I was asking questions and getting answers. Drew Baglino and Franz von Holzhausen, there was a group of people. And this guy who's like a veteran and tries to help veterans get jobs was asking Baglino what they were looking for in engineers. And Baglino had this point about how they need mechanical engineers who are able to work 6 orders of magnitude difference in scale. So you want with spinning objects. So you got spinning objects that are at large scale, that are inside the engine bay, and then there's other spinning objects that they work on that are like 6 orders of magnitude smaller. That are, I don't know if that's nanoscale, but it's close to nanoscale. So I do think there are some things that are at nanoscale. But it's sort of like, what do you mean by nanoscale manufacturing processes? I think there's nanoscale hardware in various ways. So, yeah. Okay, so I think that we're going to see the next generation vehicle actually at least start manufacturing in 2024 and possibly see the first delivery by the end of 2024. And that's the vehicle that on the vehicle side of the company, that's the big driver of growth for the company, because Model Y is not going to grow much more. Model 3 is not going to grow much more. Model S and X are basically done. Cybertruck will grow. There's some potential for Cybertruck to grow a lot. We're going to see how much demand is. We're going to see how much they can manufacture. We're going to see how many batteries they can get going. There's a lot of potential there. Perhaps Unboxed is a test run at nanoscale. Unboxed has nothing to do with nanoscale that I'm aware of. Unboxed has to do with going from an assembly line where everything's just going down one line and like doing a whole bunch of stuff all over the place and then assembling it all together at one spot. And this somehow gets you more production out of the same factory footprint and gets you a higher velocity of manufacturing. Well, I think Texas gets Unboxed first. I think the first place to manufacture the next generation vehicle gets the unbox process first, because that's where the unbox process is going. Although Sandy Monroe asked Elon about the next gen vehicle, he said, "Is that going to be the unbox process?" And Elon didn't give a direct answer to the question. And there was something else Elon said about he was talking about Cybertruck, and he said, well, Cybertruck isn't material to the company. And then he was asked about next generation vehicle. He says, I can't comment on anything that's material to the company, which sounds like Elon thinks next gen vehicle might be more important to Tesla in 2024 than Cybertruck. That's overinterpreting something Elon said, but I think it's possible. Mark Plot says Tesla will delete Model X in favor of Cybertruck SUV. I think it's just a question of what happens to demand for Model X once Cybertruck is shipping in volume. Are Model X buyers people who are going to buy Cybertruck instead? Will Cybertruck be such a branding impact for Tesla that it increases demand across the fleet? I think there's all kinds of possibilities there. I would delete Model X. I would delete Model X and replace Model X with a new Model X that doesn't have Falcon Wing doors, has lower manufacturing cost, make some other compromises, but get like a larger version of Model Y that has a real third row, and just costs a lot less to manufacture. And maybe with unbox process, 48 volt, do all that stuff. I think what we're going to see is after the next generation vehicle debuts, I think we're going to see large scale revisions of Model S and Model X first, because we've just got recent refreshes of 3, and a lot of people say there's going to be a refresh of Model Y. So you just totally redo S and X with all the updates, and then you take all the learnings from all this stuff, and then you apply that to 3 and Y, and 3 and Y get the total redo in 2026, I guess. Yeah. So then I think the other thing to be aware of is 4680. We could talk about Megapack. Megapack is clearly growing. We've got the next Megapack factory already underway, or like just started underway to be built in Shanghai. We will probably hear about more Megafactory announcements in 2024. There should be at least 1 or 2 more Megafactory announcements. That I could see happening in India. I very clear potential for a Megafactory in India. That is the one thing I would see. What's my price target to Tesla stock in 2024? I do not do price targets. I don't use that term. And I don't do short-term predictions on stock price, because what I'm interested in is, how is the company doing? How is the company growing? What progress is the company making? In long term, and I'm a long-term shareholder, I'm not selling any. I have no reason to sell stock in 2024. So why do I care what this? I don't care what the stock price is in 2024. I got cash. I saved some cash for my living expenses for the next year or so I can handle whatever I need to handle. So I don't have to worry about the stock price. And I have enough stock that is sort of like, is there really any point in me buying more stock at this point when I have as much as I have? Um, Long term, I see Tesla stock easily 10xing. But what does it do next year? That depends on a lot of things. When does FSD cross the threshold? Like, this is the biggest nut, right? There's 2 big nuts in the long-term valuation of Tesla, right? The 2 biggest nuts are self-driving becoming legit and seeing a robotaxi fleet that will ultimately generate gross profit of $500 billion a year or more, right? That's a 25x in gross profit, right, from 2022, right? And it can go to 2 trillion in gross profit as you go further out in the future and you get more vehicles, and the price of the ride comes down, but the fleet size of the fleet goes up. And then, yes, I look like Jeff Bezos. I've never heard that before. Constant thing. So I thought I looked like what's the guy's name? Scott from ESPN guy, Scott something or other. I need to wear different glasses to look like him. So then when you got off track there. So the two big nuts are FSD becoming legit, becoming genuine full self-driving, going to robotaxi. That's the big nut. That's big nut number 1. Big nut number 2 is Tesla Bot. Right? Tesla Bot becoming actually marketable, manufacturing in volume, selling to customers. When they start selling Tesla Bot to customers, that's like a complete game changer. Like, no one on Wall Street has modeled. We don't know the business model for Tesla bot yet. Um, I I did a recent interview with CERN Basher. I did a recent interview with Larry Goldberg. We disagree about how it's going to play out, but we pretty much all agree. I think Larry is less optimistic about the value generation, the what customers will ultimately pay for bot, but it's just a game changer. Stanley Tucci. Um, I want Tesla to make a vehicle size like the Lucid Gravity. I think Tesla will make a Model Y, a model. I think the net Model X will become the Model Y XL, or they'll call it a Model X. Maybe they won't even call it a Model X, but like a large version of Model Y and sell it for under 60 grand. If they can sell it for 59 grand, get a $7,500 tax credit, and it's got a real third row, that's a game changer. How many Tesla stocks do you have, or do you keep it secret? I have a lot of Tesla stock. I don't publicly say how much I own. It's a lot. It's not. There's definitely people who have more. I mean, Jason DeBolt has more than I do. I'm pretty sure Dave Lee has more than I do. But I'm a Teslaanaire. I sell the Teslaanaire shirt, and I've openly admitted I'm a Teslaanaire, so that gives you some idea. Um, and I've been a Teslaanaire before, and like I interpret Teslaanaire by the way as net worth over $1 million, largely driven by Tesla stock, not specifically having more than $1 million in Tesla stock, but whatever definition you want, I'm a Teslaanaire. I should say I haven't looked at the stock price in the last couple days, so I don't know what the stock price is. I don't even follow the stock price on a daily basis. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Um, so those are the big game changers. So the question is, what do we see with bot in 2024? I don't know how. We just saw they have a new generation of bot, and if you follow Elon the way I do, if you think about Elon the way I think about Elon, he's not just building bot to make it work. He's building bot to make it manufacturable. Well, how do you test whether it's manufacturable? Well, you start manufacturing them. So I think they're going to start making bots at some scale. Is it now? Is it in 6 months? Is it in a year? At some point, they have to start manufacturing bots at scale. They have to start manufacturing bots at scale so they can get good at manufacturing bots, so they can test how they're manufacturing. Now, is it this generation of bot or is it the next one? I don't know. But the cost to Tesla of manufacturing, let's say 100,000 bots, is pretty small at the scale of the company. So you could see them doing it. And then this is a big thing. This is one of the spots where I would say, I think there's a lot of places where I'm sort of out of the ordinary on my thoughts about what Tesla is doing. It is a very common view, and I have a poll running on X right now. It is a very common view that the primary focus for bot is learning to do tasks in a Tesla factory. And I completely disagree with that. I think that is an unimportant thing for bot to do. It's not unimportant at all. It's not zero importance, but that is nowhere near the most important thing for Tesla bot to do. The most important thing for Tesla bot to do is to get out there and experience in the real world in a variety of ways and generate data so that Tesla can develop real world AI. The cars are out there developing real world AI on roads. We need bots out there developing real world AI, an understanding of the real world in places that cars don't go. In forests, on stairways, in elevators, shopping malls, whatever you want. The cars don't go in the shopping malls, right? There's a whole bunch of environments where we walk and the cars don't drive, and experiencing those environments in a variety of ways helps develop real world AI. Now, there's a piece of bot that is different from the cars, which is that the cars do not manipulate objects. The cars avoid objects. The bots are being trained to manipulate objects. Pick this object up, put it over there. There's a video recently of the bot picking up an egg, transferring it to the other hand, and then putting it down, and they're censoring the pads and everything like that. That's all going to be a big deal. So the long-term future of Tesla valuation, look, you can go with my battery revenue model. You can get to some serious numbers. I think that the battery revenue model, it's like if FSD never works, if bot never takes off, the battery revenue model still generates a huge amount of value for Tesla, for the company, for the stock. That's still like a 5x, if not more, maybe even a 10x. You get the robo-taxi in there, and you're like 10x, 20x, 30x. You get bot in there, you might be 100x. Just the value creation is huge. And the developing real world AI and how does that apply in other contexts, and What does that enable XAI to do? What does it enable X to do? How is that usable in so many different ways? It's off the charts. So Optimus will be both manufacturable and capable. Look, I'm not saying that Optimus won't be capable of manufacturing. I'm just saying that is not the high priority for a bot. The high priority for Optimus is learning to understand the world. Tesla is the leader in real world AI, and the goal is to accelerate that lead. That is the most important thing. Mitchell Woolrich says McDonald's and Taco Bell each have a fully automated restaurant. On automation, no people. Fast will be the first to adopt new technology, with California having $20 minimum wage. Yeah, I think that's a different topic, though. It's interesting. I think that's a relatively. That's not like a general application. That's not like AI running the restaurant. It's just we've figured out how to have bots do all these specific tasks. The bot owner might buy 3D printer setup so the bot can repair its bits as necessary. I don't know about that. I think you probably want to have more than one bot so one bot can repair the other. Yeah, I'm not sure. The bot will peel a banana on the next video. That's a good one. Confident there are better machines for making omelets. Yeah, yeah. McDonald's just not. I haven't had a McDonald's omelet in I don't know how long, but so have we covered Tesla enough? I think we've covered Tesla enough. I'm trying. Oh, so Megapack's growing. I think the other big thing to watch for is the development of the 4680 cell. So we know that Tesla has one running line, or at last we heard they had one running line for Cybercell, which is the cell that is powering Cybertruck. I believe they were implementing a second line that's probably already running, so they got two lines running Cybertruck cells, 4680 cells for Cybertruck. They got two more that they're deploying, so they have a total of four. So they're really increasing their output of cells for Cybertruck. And then they've ordered or they've started the process of conditioning an additional four lines. This is all at Giga Texas. Then at some point, they're going to expand Giga Nevada. When they expand Giga Nevada, they're going to put more lines of 4680 cells there. And all the while, Giga Fremont or Tesla Fremont has the Cato Road facility where they are working on the next generation of cell after the Cyber Cell. So 4680 development is important. And then something that I don't think I've talked about much and I haven't seen anybody else talk about is I think that Tesla needs and will develop, either by themselves or with partners, lithium iron phosphate battery production in the United States. It is a no-brainer to me that Tesla will use lithium iron phosphate battery cells in high volume for Megapack, in high volume for Powerwall, and high volume for the next generation vehicle. And to get the full tax credit, you want those batteries produced here in the United States. And my gut would be that Tesla will at some point open their own lithium iron phosphate battery facility, but they may just partner with somebody else and have them do it. Why hasn't the semi-truck plant construction started? It's not just the semi-truck. It's an expansion of Giga Nevada that includes semi-construction, but also 4680 and other things. No, I don't think. I think they can start expanding it now. They need those cells for semi, and semi can use them now. There's no reason I feel the little blue planet shouldn't be struck by Armistice. Sick pervert. That's an interesting take. Okay. Okay. So I think and then sorry, then this development of real world AI, the development of Dojo, that's another big thing to watch. Are we going to hear more about Dojo in the 2024? I think that we're going to see Dojo ramp. I think we're probably going to, and Tesla's also probably going to buy more NVIDIA supercomputers, NVIDIA GPUs. There's no reason for them not to continue. The cost is not that big. If Elon can get a hand on more NVIDIA GPUs, they'll expand that too. They want as much compute as possible to improve their AI training. Should Tesla bots be used to make Tesla branded phone? Well, okay, so I don't think Elon's going to make a Tesla phone. I think he could make a Tesla phone if he had to. Starlink phone and internet service is not a reality on phone for a long time. There's some limited phone call ability in very rare circumstances and some limited texting ability in very rare circumstances. But to be able to do a significant volume of phone and internet on a phone via Starlink is not viable now. Will it be viable in 5 or 10 years? Maybe, but I don't think that's a priority anyway. The on Lawrence Expressway got automated. Trying to abstract. All right, so I'm sorry. I am Mark, if you're there, I'm going to take care of this one. High user on this channel. There was an account named Crystal Pebsworth that I think was nuts. So I'm removing that from the chat. Okay, so let me move on. I think I've covered everything about Tesla that I wanted to cover. I think they're just making spectacular progress. Lots of good things happening. The things that I think we can expect in 2024: news about next generation vehicle, possible manufacturing next generation vehicle, build out and possibly completion of the Megapack factory in Shanghai. They should finish the Megapack factory before the end of 2024 and maybe have very limited production start by the end of 2024. Learn a lot more about next generation vehicle variety of ways. Version 12 of FSD crossing the threshold. Does FSD cross the threshold in 2024? Crossing the threshold means, does it get to the point where Tesla says you don't have to pay attention anymore? We're removing the nags. You have to sit in the driver's seat. If the car says take over, you got to take over. But other than that, we're removing the nags. The car's going to drive itself. Are we going to get to that point this year? Maybe. I tend to be optimistic. We know that. Do I think Tesla will reveal a new model this year? I think Tesla will deliver the new model this year. I think it's very likely they will reveal. It's possible that Elon is going to talk about the next generation vehicle in more detail in the third or fourth, like after the earnings call in January. He said that he's going to make some kind of presentation. So I think he's got it. Maybe he says a lot more about the next gen vehicle. I don't know. That would be huge. Tesla van, I think there's a lot of potential for a Tesla van on the Cybertruck platform. I think there's also potential for a Tesla van on the next generation vehicle platform. There is a world of like larger vans and smaller vans, like the transit vans or whatever, that are smaller vans. I think there's a lot of potential for that. So a whole lot of cool stuff going on. School bus, I don't think so. Okay, so let's turn quickly to SpaceX. It looks like they're getting closer to a third test launch of Starship. If they're able, I think the third Starship flight should probably achieve orbit. We will probably see a soft landing of the booster in the water, and that will be enough for them to maybe the next attempt, they actually try to land the booster back on land and maybe even try to catch it. We'll see how that goes. Will the second stage successfully re-enter the atmosphere? And I don't think they're going to try a soft water landing with the second stage, but how does it do on re-entering the atmosphere? And I think we're going to see several Starship launches in 2024. I'm hoping we see more than 10, but I think we're going to see 4, 5, 6 Starship launches. We're seeing Starlink get built out more and more and more. Once they get Starship launching, then it's going to start deploying larger Starlinks. That's going to be huge for Starlink. Yeah, Mitchell, I agree. They don't want to Osborne. I don't usually think Tesla worries about Osborning, but they might not make an announcement until they're ready to produce. So, and they just did static fires of the Super Heavy booster and the Starship, I believe. And yeah, I have a great picture. My phone is over there. My phone screen is now the Falcon Heavy against the moon. When first NASA booster landing? I don't even know is there such a thing as a NASA booster? So I think we're seeing great progress for SpaceX. So what we're not going to see in 2024 is a Mars mission. I think Elon earlier had hoped that Starship would be ready to do a test launch to Mars in 2024. Pretty clear we're not far enough along for that. So now the question is setting the stage to be able to do a test launch to Mars in 2026 and do missions to the moon or around the moon. Blue Orange's orbit, yeah. Unbox gives opportunity to have mix and match body. Maybe that's not crazy. Well, the big event will not catching the booster will be huge, but the biggest event if they are able to bring back a second stage, propulsive landing, and then will they be able to start reusing both first and second stages? And that's just a massive game changer for cost of getting payloads to orbit. They are getting better at manufacturing Starship as well. That is true. Do I see any of the Vietnamese EV Viet in Thailand? No, I've been seeing Chinese EVs in Thailand. BYD and some other Chinese EVs. Seen Porsche Taycans in Thailand. Check my X post. I posted today or yesterday photos from the M Sphere Mall in Bangkok of a bunch of vehicles, including some EVs. this was in a mall. This wasn't on the road, but I did see a BYD Seal on the road. I have seen at least one or two other EVs. I've seen Porsche Taycans on the road. I've seen Teslas. I actually shot a video. No, I think it didn't work. I had a video today, or I saw a Model Y today. I keep seeing Teslas. How much Tesla infrastructure have you seen in your Asian travels? I have not seen a lot of Tesla. And I'm going to I think in 2 days, I'm going to the new Tesla store at a place called Siam Paragon, which is a big mall. Um, yeah, SpaceX needs to get a Starship fully cycled in 2024. Yeah, I haven't seen it VinFast. Anyway, so I think there's probably more with SpaceX, but I'm struggling to wrap my head around like what it's just the growth of Starlink, the progress on Starship, and then Falcon 9 is just going to continue being a workhorse. We did like 96 launches this year, 96 successful launches this year, so very likely go well over 100 next year, by the dominant launch provider in the world. Can I talk about what you see happening with FSD and Robotaxi in 2024? I think I already did talk about this. I think that we will see the big question. I don't, will we see a Robotaxi network go live in 2024? I would say right now that looks like slim odds. But will we see FSD version 12 or version 13 cross the threshold to where you don't need the nag anymore and you can drive the car, where the car will drive itself? You have to sit in the driver's seat, and if the car says take over, you have to take over. I think that might happen this year, but I thought it was going to happen last year. And I probably thought it was going to happen the year before that. So, I'm optimistic, but we'll see. Yeah, and then it seems like they've made a lot of progress. There's a lot of confidence I'm seeing from a lot of sources that version 12 is it. But we thought version 11 was it. so whatever it is, it's hard to spot. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about is the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. Really, really huge progress on that. I would please ask you to consider following me and/or subscribing to me on the X platform. I'm WR4NYGov. That's a legacy from when I ran for governor in New York in 2010 as a libertarian candidate. I do talk politics on there. If you don't like talking politics or you don't want to see my politics, then I guess don't follow me on there. But the X platform, I think that they are working on improvements so X is not a great place for content creators like me to post video. I'm doing very well with my regular content creation, if we can call it that. To me, I'm just posting, like it's like a dopamine thing for me. But whatever reason, what I'm doing on X is working. I posted a video 2 days ago that Elon liked, got over 400,000 views, whatever, or 400,000 impressions. But in general, my sense is that videos do not perform well on the X platform, and I think they're taking steps to improve video performance on the X platform so that they become a genuine rival to YouTube. So I think we're going to see a lot of progress towards that. I think we're going to see X payments this year, 2024. We're going to see X payments. And by the way, it is 3 minutes to midnight here in Bangkok, so it is about to be New Year here. I don't know whether they freak out about. I know there's some fireworks somewhere in Bangkok, but it is 3 minutes to midnight in Bangkok, so it is probably already the New Year in Japan, and some other places in east of here. I'm not familiar with the story of Grachi. No. So FSD version 12 now has 15,000 users. I did not know that. That's a lot. Yeah. So I think we're going to see a lot of upgrades to the X platform. There's something called Spaces. If you haven't been on X, I think one of the most exciting features of X is the Spaces, which is where it's kind of like a Zoom, but the world can watch, the world can listen and watch. Currently, it's just conversation, so there's no video, but I think they're planning to upgrade that so that the speakers can be seen by the audience. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they develop Spaces. There's been a lot of really cool Spaces. I think they're working on improving live streaming. They're working on improving other videos. They've done some live, video gaming live streaming in the past. Yeah, they've got good people on the platform like Tucker Carlson. Not good people, people who draw a lot of views on the platform like Tucker Carlson. So I think creating a video homepage for the X platform, so people who want to watch videos, like right now, if I want to watch videos, I go to YouTube because X just isn't. There's no organized way for me to find the videos I want to watch on X. So I think you need something like that with an algorithm to suggest videos I want to watch. I think that's coming. I think they'll deploy AI further to help decide what posts you want to see. Um, Grok is on X platform. If you have access to, if you have a premium account on X, I think they're so that you basically have something close to ChatGPT while you're on X. I'm not saying it's as good as ChatGPT. I'm just saying it's good and it's different. And it's generally not accessible to me here in Thailand, which is kind of annoying. But I get ChatGPT and I'm fine with that. And I do play with, if I set a VPN up and do it right, then sometimes I can access Grok. So, and Happy New Year. Yeah. Oh, fireworks are going off behind me. I don't know if you guys can hear the fireworks. Probably not. But it's, according to my clock, it's still a minute to go. But apparently it is New Year in Bangkok and the natives are getting restless. Can you guys hear or see that? Yeah, you can see that. There you go. Some fireworks. So, um, and it is midnight. Happy New Year, everybody. New Year in Bangkok. It is 2024 here in Thailand. So, um, I just think there's so many cool things happening on the X platform, and I would encourage you, if you're not already on X, to get on X. And then the addition of steps to stop spammers, stop scammers, stop bots. Require like a $1 a year minimum fee to get some kind of verification. If you don't pay the dollar, you can't post, you can't like, you can't comment. You can just watch. And if you pay $1 a year, then you can comment and you can interact to some extent. That would go a long way. And I've had plenty of people scam. I've had people scammed from comments on the YouTubes. If you see somebody claiming to me saying, contact me on Telegram, WhatsApp, or whatever, that's not me. Somebody trying to sell you some kind of investment scheme, that's not me. But multiple people have been scammed here on YouTube and on the X platform by accounts that pretend to be me. It's not me. I'm not trying to, I'm not going to contact you individually and tell you about some investment scheme. So just to be clear about that, if somebody says, hey, this is Warren, I got a really cool investment scheme for you, not me. If I'm going to announce an investment thing, I'm going to do it right here. Like, I think at some point I'm going to do a crowdfunding round for the Podcard. But that's like 2 years away. And it's not going to be something where I'm going to message you randomly on a YouTube comment or on X. It's going to be like, I'm going to do it right here. Or I might do it to my supporters. So if you subscribe to me on one of these platforms, if you're a channel member, that's the kind of way I'm going to announce those crowdfunding rounds. This, give the people who follow me the most early access to that. Is the world your oyster? So, let's turn to Neuralink. First human trial of the Neuralink brain implant will happen in 2024. I'm hopeful that we will have some positive result of the first human trial by the end of 2024. And what I envision, end of 2024, and what I envision is something like an ESPN 30/30 style tearjerker video where they take an individual and you get a glimpse of their life before their injury, and then you learn it, and it's like happy, and then there's the somber tone, and then there's like, oh, they had this accident and they became paralyzed, and then this is the suffering they went through, and then but there was hope, and then they get in the Neuralink trial and they get the Neuralink implant, and then they're able to start interacting with the world again. They're able to start controlling a computer. The first Neuralink trial will just be to control a computer, to move a mouse, to enter text into a computer, which would be much faster than what they do now. And a couple stories like that will be huge. Number one, they'll be uplifting stories. But when you look at, the supposed concern about branding for Tesla because Elon says mean things on X, right? That kind of monster success story. The mainstream media will make it about dead monkeys, right? But the mainstream media is becoming increasingly irrelevant, and there's a huge volume of people who are paying attention to what's happening on X, and that will be a monster story. And the media probably won't be able to avoid covering that one, right? So you're just going to get massive coverage of like this really, really warm, good news story that was driven by Elon Musk and people related to the Tesla team. So that's going to be big, and the long-term prospect for Neuralink to like the Neuralink valuation is just absolutely insane because it's basically like the iPhone on steroids. A $10,000 iPhone that people buy, 100 million people a year buy, and then they upgrade every 3 years, and the value creation there is just absolutely nuts. Ross says, which Elon company are you most excited for in 2024? Probably SpaceX for 2024. I'm excited about the Boring Company, which I'll talk about now. The Boring Company is expanding in Vegas. I'm hoping that we're going to see more expansion of the Boring Company and see more projects. Elon did reply positively to a post I made about the potential for Boring Company to really become a game changer for the world. I think the answer for Boring Company, based on Elon's response about the difficulty getting permits in North America and Europe, like the real potential for Boring Company might be in Asia. And I can say right here in Bangkok, like Boring Company would be a game changer in Bangkok. They don't have a well developed transit system in Bangkok. They have the transit system they have where it serves is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. I live really close to the Sukhumvit line, which is the probably the most important line in Bangkok. But maximum speed is like 50 kilometers an hour, which is like 32 miles an hour. I think the average speed is 32 kilometers an hour, which is like what is that, like 20 miles an hour? Um, it's not bad, but it's just like if you want to go end to end, it takes a while. It's not cheap actually. It's not terribly expensive, but it's not that cheap. So I think the potential for cities like Bangkok to deploy Boring Company tunnel systems is huge, huge, huge. And they're spending a ton of money building out more of these elevated rail systems that are crazy expensive. And the potential for Boring Company to save them a ton of money and deliver a better result. Because the Boring Company vehicles aren't going to be going 50 kilometers an hour. They're going to be going 100 miles an hour. So that's 4x the speed and not have to stop at every station. It's just a like massive game changer. So I think China will adopt Boring Company fast, and then if China adopts Boring Company and Bangkok adopts Boring Company, maybe some cities in India adopt Boring Company. Um, at some point, does North America and Europe say, "Gosh, we should probably participate in this," right? Williams says 1.5 meters above sea level. I can't read the whole. Can they put tunnels in? Well, there's a tunnel under the English Channel. I don't know. I see that all the time. Like, yes, they can do tunnels under. They do tunnels under rivers. They do tunnels under bodies of water. Yes, they can do it. The tunnels are watertight. It's fine. Um, oh, the buses in Bangkok are cheap. It's just the traffic is hell. The Boring Company system avoids the traffic. It's fantastic. So I think that's all of Elon's companies. And then I want to just say generally, artificial intelligence. I'm sorry, XAI is one of Elon's companies. It's a new company. The development of artificial intelligence, of machine learning, of large language models, of diffusion models. We've seen a lot of improvement. We're probably going to continue to see a lot of improvement. How far is that going to go? How fast is that going to go? It seems like it's going faster and faster. I think my biggest concern, just as I've always said, the biggest threat to Tesla's success is government. The biggest threat to the future um, of humanity, of AI helping humanity, is government. That government will try to clamp. It's like the genie's out of the bottle, and government's not going to be able to stop it. But government can get in the way. Government can hinder it. But whatever restrictions they put, they're not going to follow the restrictions. The Chinese aren't going to follow the restrictions. The Russians aren't going to follow the restrictions. The Iranians aren't going to follow the restrictions. All these governments are going to follow it. So let the free market go. Um, yeah, so that's big. And then I just like Nvidia. I think Nvidia is probably a big story in 2024. Will there be other companies that release AI training chips or AI inference chips, perhaps, but AI training chips in particular, AI training hardware that starts to be at least somewhat competitive with Nvidia? The demand is so high, Nvidia can't make enough to meet the demand. So does AMD come out with some sort of meaningful improvement in AI training on their end? Does what the hell's the guy's name? George Hotz, his Tiny Corp company, did they come up with a meaningful AI training computer on a small scale? That would be really cool. So, what new applications are we going to see for machine learning that we don't see? Like nobody saw the generative art coming the way it did. Nobody saw the large language model chatbots coming the way they did. What's next? What will chatbots do? What other applications will happen? Which will wipe us out first, robots or government? Um, well, robots specifically are not going to wipe us out anytime soon because there won't be enough of them. They won't scale. They won't, that's not really a threat. Government has always been a threat to wipe us out. They're not going 100 miles per hour anywhere yet. Why not? What do you mean they're not going 100 miles per hour anywhere yet? Boring Company, they can go 100 miles an hour in the Boring Company tunnel system now. They don't bother, but they can. And they certainly go faster than whatever. They're certainly capable of it. It's I think they're waiting for whatever reason. AI will design the best aerodynamic car. Franz shouldn't do it. Uh, I'm sure that AI will be used in a lot of ways for a lot of different things. For all we know, they're already using AI at Tesla's design team for things. Um, yeah, so I think we're seeing a lot of great things happening. There is a legit fear that the AI is going to take over, the AI is going to kill us all. I'm not too worried about it. I think the greatest threats to humanity are government, nuclear war, which is government, and population collapse, which is us. T. Nelly says, haha, the second a boring company is built in Bangkok, the second is immediately as crowded as the streets, decades before any meaningful change in congestion. Well, no, you just charge enough that, that you use pricing to reduce demand. And, the reality is that they'll have cars in the system. It's not like people are going to bring their own cars into the system. It'll be the cars within the system that are transporting people. So that'll be fine. Um, Thank you, Jay Morgan. So yeah, wow, over an hour. Doing a great job. So anyway, I'm really excited about the future. I'm very positive, and I will say, for those who are interested in my dating life, I did. I've had some dates. I have some dates coming up. I just had a great conversation with a woman on one of these apps, and then on whatever, just really positive. Probably the best conversation I've had with a woman in a long time. Don't know that she's real. I haven't met her in person. I'm trying to schedule an actual date, but I've had some dates. I have a couple of dates coming up. Um, Thailand seems better than Japan. Japan was better than the U.S. Um, so I'm generally speaking, I'm optimistic about the future in so many different ways. So I'm optimistic for myself. I'm optimistic for humanity. I'm optimistic for the technology. I see a lot of really good things happening. Cyber taxi for 2025. Uh, Maybe I should ask ChatGPT to have a nice conversation with. Well, somebody told me I should be using ChatGPT to, hey, I've got this person on a match on this app. What should I say to her, right? And have ChatGPT start writing my replies. I suppose I could do that. Um, Yeah, I mean, it's just like I'm making progress. I'm happy about things. Will I go to the Philippines? Will I go back to Japan? We'll see. I'm fortunate that I have the freedom to go explore these things and see what's going on. I have good days and bad days in Bangkok. The food poisoning incident was not a positive, but we'll see. So, all right. I want to thank everybody so much for watching and participating. I want to thank Mark Plott in particular. I don't know if anybody else was here for the moderators, but I want to thank Mark Plott for moderating. Um, and please check out the merch at elonbits.com. Please support me as a YouTube channel member on the Daily Lie, warrenredlick.locals.com, on X, aka Twitter, WR4NYGov, on Patreon. However you want to support me, I'd appreciate it. Really excited about the next year. So many good things happening. I hope you're all enjoying your time, and I hope you have a wonderful, happy new year. And let's get excited. And we should have deliveries like January 2nd, maybe. We should have the delivery numbers. Let's go, Tesla. Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.